Roll for Crit here to discuss an interesting news story out of Kickstarter this past week. Of course, tabletop games, you probably know, are a force to be reckoned with on Kickstarter. They already have broken a record for the past year. They keep making more and more money. Right now, we've got some giant, huge projects up there like Oath and Return to Dark Tower, but they're not always success stories. And Monolith had a project just recently that didn't quite work out for them called Beyond the Monolith.
This is actually an idea that's been in talks for a while, if you don't know. Monolith makes a lot of really big mini games. Their two biggest ones being the Batman and Conan series. This idea of the Beyond Monolith would be that you could take minis from those games and even others and place them into a new game, sort of mix these universes, so to give these minis a sort of second chance of being used. They already had signed on Peterson Games' Cthulhu Wars as well as Simon's Zombicide series, so some very big names to be able to mix along with Conan and Batman. Now, a lot of people are excited for this because it meant that those big minis that they've put a lot of money into could be used for other games. But the Kickstarter finally released and a lot of people were confused. Not only was it the page like loading with gifts instead of just letting you read the entire thing, the pledge levels were confusing. It wasn't just buying a core system. It had a whole bunch of mini packs because the whole point of this was that you didn't need more minis. You could just get use the minis you already own. So they actually canceled it a little while later. It wasn't even close to the very large pledge level that they were hoping to reach. And there's actually a really nice response from them talking about why they think they failed and where they messed up and will come back. And they think maybe after they fit with more of the Conan and Batman stuff they want to get to, including, I think, a standalone campaign for Conan. And of course, just making the Batman minis that they already have designed and already in the works. Mm-hmm. But I do actually think this is a really sad thing because conceptually, the idea is fantastic. We've seen so many of these minis games out there, and to be able to actually use them for other things, if there's a much more simple, like, oh, it's just a war game, so I'll use this Cthulhu mini and maybe this Conan mini, and if they continue to spread, Peterson has a huge title game, but Simon does too. Like, imagine if you can take some of the samurai from Rising Sun, or even if we look at some other weird games, Steamforged, with Devil May Cry, Horizon Zero Dawn, you could have all this really crazy, just weird tabletop battle game.
Yeah, for RPG players have always had this kind of side benefit where if they back a game with minis, we could use them in RPGs. Mm-hmm. So this kind of seems like, now board gamers can get that, also have that, another project. I do agree, it is a great concept. It just seems like you said, I know I looked at this page and I don't know that if you looked at this as a layman, especially if you've never played a Monolith game.
Some things I've read from people who are Monolith veterans, they were still...
You look at it and it's like, so I don't know that I know exactly what this is, though. I don't know. You had to tell me what it was.
Or even how to get what you want.
Right. That's kind of confusing pledges. I do think that Fred Henry of Monolith, this guy who wrote that update, apologizing, and I think that's how you do it. It was a really humble, very transparent response, very open to the community, which is nice because a lot of times when you see these Kickstarter disasters, disaster may be too harsh in this case, but we tend to talk about these from time to time.
I wouldn't say disaster.
Misstep, a fumble.
A misstep, yeah. It's not like when we see someone try to make a game with a property they don't have the rights to.
Yeah, it's not that. But they definitely, I think, handled it better than some other companies do.
I will say, I haven't seen a lot of people saying this, but for me, I think one of the big issues, you sort of already hinted at it, was that they already have so many other titans on Kickstarter released right then. They chose a terrible window.
It's true. It is a really competitive scene this month for Kickstarter. So I'm sure that didn't help them, even being a huge name with huge minis.
But even the core level, from what I can tell, is pretty pricey. I feel like this should be a very bare bones. No, you don't need any minis. It should have been a core set that maybe we'll include stat cards for maybe some of our base things, and maybe some of the expansion would be here, buy this box for the Cthulhu core box. It comes with stat cards, no minis. You never need minis. You should assume this is for people who already have the minis.
Right, yeah.
And maybe you could have here's a pledge level for the Conan base, the Batman base, because we have those.
Yeah, I understand having minis in some levels, but yeah, maybe they shouldn't have been seemed as front and center, I guess. Yeah, a lot of people also seem to be saying, and he said in his update that that more fans were interested in the adventure or co-op modes, not as much the versus. I saw some pushback on that. Some people said, no, we kind of do like versus, just the campaign wasn't run very well. So I'm not sure where Monolith fans land on that, but...
Well, I think maybe making a simple versus that was cheap, a lot of people would be like, okay, that's fine, we'll do this. But I think would be a really great idea for them to take is like, all right, we've made the game. This is how the basic game works. Let's put an engine up online. Like for example, Mansions has the Valkyrie, but that's fan made. This is our official. You can make your own print and play of things because people can design. Oh, I have Horizon Zero Dawn or Dark Souls, so I'm gonna put my stats here, and then you make a community that builds around that. And then if you see a lot of popularity, you can be like, all right, because obviously, even when you look at D&D. Some of the things may be sort of balanced, but you're like, that's not fully balanced, or it's like a little overpowered here or there. You could be like, okay, we're seeing a lot of interest in this game. Let's go to Steamforge now and be like, hey, look, a lot of people want your guys' minis. Let's make a deal here, and we'll make an official pack for it. Like, how great would that be? Because then the community grows off of that, just have, like, people go to conventions, obviously someone suggested, which is a no-brainer. But, like, to build up the Warhammer community or something, so you get those people to be like, oh, I can bring my Warhammer minis now into this.
Something like that would be cool. I mean, the question is there money in that, though, for Monolith?
Well, the idea would be then you'd sell the official pack, because people will always buy the official one over the fan-printed if they can.
Right, yeah.
Because, nicer quality, it's been tested.
Yeah, my other big thing from reading the thing was, there wasn't a draft rule book. I have no sense as of right now as to how this mode actually works.
It was more about, in the end, the minis.
Yeah.
They really should have just focused on what's the core game.
Like, what does it do?
Here's the rules. Here's how stats should work. And I think that's when it's a great idea, and I hope they don't just throw it into the bin. It's something I can understand.
Sounds like they're going to rework it.
I can understand putting on the shelf, but yes, to me, especially as someone who's backed a lot of things with minis, it just sounds like such a great idea that could bring the board game world into this really fun talking to each other and getting companies to work more to each other too if they know that this is something that could happen with their game.
Now what happens if they make deals with the Unmatched game or Funkoverse? Is that too confusing because those are already multiple universes?
Now I don't think so at all. You sort of get what's going on already.
Yeah, I guess not. I just thought it'd be weird since it's like the whole conceit of their games is other universes. I don't know. They could get anybody. You could expand it as much as you want. They did say they're planning on relaunching it, reworking it. When and how exactly, we don't know. Maybe it'll look completely different.
It did sound like that it's going to be a while away because they want to, as they said, focus on bringing the Conan and the Batman.
That was another thing, was that the campaign was only scheduled for a week, and people said that was way too short of a time. They would have liked at least a month or something.
I think that's one of those things where they hope to get, it's only a week left. So
right.
Try to get that
Kickstarter, it's not an exact science. There's a lot of different angles you can approach it from. Interesting stuff. Maybe if you're watching this, you're a backer, at least of a former Monolith project, if not this one. And then you, I'm sure, have opinions on how this one was run, what you think they could have done better, and what you want to see from a system like this. Because I don't know as much about it, so I'm sure people have more stuff.
In particular, maybe even not just Monolith. If you're a heavy mini backer or Warhammer game player, where that technically, I don't think there's a Kickstarter for their minis. I think they tend to just ship them out. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's possible to have this sort of game system that would just let you borrow minis from other games to use? And do you think it's a good idea, or is there really no money in it?
Let us know in the comment section down below, or any other Kickstarter related thoughts that maybe you have. And stay tuned for more stuff on our channel. Till then, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
This was Roll for Crit. Here's an idea. Support our Patreon or like and subscribe to this channel for more.
Fagulu Miktawa audio expansion Wakana Cthulhu awesome.